Hello and welcome to Grumpy Gamers. You're here with me, Pete, and along with me this week I have Ben.
Hello.
And Eddie.
Hello.
I did that very confidently, like I haven't missed 3 weeks. It's been the same for the last month without me.
Yeah, you've been away for a hot minute.
It's been 3 weeks, is it?
It has, yeah. Bad, isn't it? Pretty bad.
That's pretty bad, and then Kirk just dips off as well, so it can never get four
Well, that's
on
what I mean.
for many
Like,
episodes.
surely, because we haven't done an episode with me and you, Ben, in a while, so how has it been 3 weeks? It can't be 3 weeks.
Everyone else just keeps dipping in and out, but Kirk was on for 3 weeks in a row,
Was
which
he?
is a new record for him in one time.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
But he couldn't possibly do 4 in a row.
No, that was impossible. That was just not a thing that was going to happen. Didn't know if I was back either, but you know, he dipped.
That work that he always brags that he never does any work for.
Yes.
It's funny because a lot of Mondays he's so slammed, but then every time I see him,
It is interesting because we do.
Time.
I was saying to Pete before we got that message, I was like, well, Kirk hasn't been particularly vocal over the last couple of days, so that means that he usually isn't on. And then he presented it like something had just popped out.
Crazy.
Oh
Crazy,
no, something was going on.
But it must be said also, it is quite bad that I've barely listened to the shows since, boys. I've got a lot of catch up to do. That's just how busy I've been. Like Kirk, just slammed. Absolutely slammed.
Yeah, just slammed. Also, not a big fan of the podcast, are you? So
I am mostly a fan of my own voice, so if I'm missing, it is difficult for me. As I'm sure all our listeners are aware. But I will say, I was very interested in a few things that have happened, such as the fact that the Activision Blizzard thing is finally not news anymore.
it's almost not news.
Almost not. Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost through it, everybody. Come on. So that was a huge one. Sure. But was also very interested to hear that you'd got Oxenfree last week, Ben. Oxenfree 2, I should clarify.
Yes.
Looking forward to hearing more about that later. Mm-hmm. Which should, I imagine, feature in our What We've Been Playing section, shouldn't it? So
it will be.
Excellent. We'll get to that after the news and the new releases, as we usually do. And our feature this week is on those games we've regretted buying, which, amongst us, I think that's probably quite a lot, especially for me and Eddie. Like anything over £10.
Actually, yeah, I'm going to go against that because of the length of research I do for every single game I've ever bought. Mine was actually really hard. Really hard.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, Pete, that is you're focusing on the wrong people to have that list. I mean, because I buy several games a week.
Ben buys, then researches.
I don't know why you came to you and Eddie with that. Like, jeez.
Well, I imagine you wouldn't have regret. No, when I think about it, I should have said. It'll be a long list amongst us because we were all crippled by regret. That would have been better.
Yeah.
Yes. But we will get to that. To start with, though, Ben, do you want to take us on to the quick news?
Yes, let's do that. So Diablo 4 had a patch this last week. You might have heard about. Unfortunately, it brought in some big nerfs across the board. There was some very vocal feedback to this. They had a presentation last Friday. I think it was like an impromptu presentation on Twitch that offered up a bit of an explanation to let people know what they were thinking and what's going forwards. And I think they kind of admitted it was a bit too much of a nerf trying to reset things. They were trying to move things in the direction that they had originally kind of envisaged. So there were things in the game that were perhaps a bit too OP than they had originally planned. So trying to fix things like that. Since then, they've done some additional patch around Nightmare Dungeons, which helps a bit. And there's another patch coming in a couple of weeks for some buffs around some classes, just to bring things back up. But really, it just got a bit out of hand, I think. Yeah. It's a live service game. People got very, very vocal, and I feel like they needed to step back and just ask themselves, are you still having fun with this game? Because they'll sort it out. This is what they do.
They will. And this is, the only sort of qualifier I'd add to that is, did this break your game for a day or two? Because it did for me. Not as in when playing, but I could not get on it because the update just wouldn't complete.
Oh, well,
for about 36 hours.
Yeah, around that kind of Season 1 patch time, I think it was a bit hit and miss. That first night on Season 1, because I was playing hardcore, I just sacked it off because I was like, if I disconnect, it's just a waste of an evening.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was a bit rough, but now it's up and running fine.
Yeah, which is a plus.
Yes, it is. So that was that one. Next up, the Borderlands movie adaptation. It's got a August 2024 release date.
Okay.
I didn't know it was happening, so I said that as though I did know, but I had no idea. But there is a Borderlands movie. How many fucking video game movies and TV shows and stuff are coming out now?
Yeah.
It's like everything.
Yes, and I imagine it's just because Hollywood have run out of ideas for anything else.
Well, they've gone like, oh, that video games market, that's like dwarfing us now, so that must be pretty good.
Yes, I imagine that is the route they've taken.
Maybe it's just testament to the fact that video games as a medium of storytelling is pretty prolific right now. So there we go. A limited edition Spider-Man 2 PS5 will be available for pre-order from the 28th of July. It's obvious that they'd probably be taking advantage of Spider-Man 2 coming out. I have seen the pictures of it. It looks pretty good. The controller looked pretty nice. So, 28th of July for collectors of that.
I actually looked at getting a Starfield controller today. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, then I looked at the price.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing, Eddie, because my controller has recently gone bust. And I was thinking about getting the Starfield one, but it's just like it's an extra 10 or 20 quid on top of the normal price just for the design.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair to both of you, you could just steal one of Kirk's. He has got two.
Yeah.
Just next time you're there, just slip the boxed and packaged one into your bag, and none the wiser.
Lovely, yeah.
He wouldn't notice.
The
The amount
thing
of
is,
controllers he's got, he would not fucking notice.
he wouldn't miss it.
Exactly.
But they look good, and I took real issue with was the headset, because that headset is the exact same headset as the normal one, but it's like the normal one's about 60 or 70 quid, and the Starfield one is like 100 or 120 or something crazy.
Yeah.
And the problem is, Starfield might be absolute wank. Like it might be absolutely shite. So
It could be iconically bad though, and then it's still the same sort of principle.
yeah, that would work.
I actually,
Anthem level bad.
my dad's. I was up with my parents on the weekend, as you two know, but my sister. And my dad got loads of stuff out the loft to ask about value, and holy shit, we were going through. He found boxes and boxes of games, like loads.
Really?
Yeah, some real fucking belters in there as well. But how sad is it that like we can't play any of them? Like I was looking at some of them, like what was it? Oh, I had Rome Total War. I was like, oh, could get that. Back on
PC games.
I had like Guitar Hero. What else was there? There were just so many bangers there that I was like, oh, I would love to dip into this. No CD drive. Yeah.
Yeah, like old PC games are like fucking dead, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
But even like there were like PlayStation 1 games in there, and there were a few that I was like, I wouldn't mind playing that right now.
Yeah.
In fact, my mum saw Sonic and went, oh, can you get that for me on the PC? So now I'm having to get they've done a 1, 2, 3 and 4 Sonic.
Yeah.
A collection.
yeah.
They've done the collector's thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 30 quid on Steam. So I'm looking at controllers for so she can play it.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Next up, the last episodes of Ash as the main character in Pokemon. They'll air on Netflix in September. I think it's already aired in Japan. I think we heard about it a few months ago. But because he finally becomes like the Pokemon master, beats the Pokemon League and
At long
all
last.
that jazz.
Yeah.
All that jazz.
Yeah.
Hasn't aged a day.
Yeah.
And last up for the week, COD servers from the older games. So Call of Duty from back in the day, they're back up and running on Xbox right now. It was unknown whether this was Microsoft's doing or Activision's doing, but it's coincidental, seeing as the deal was going through, as we said. And some people have said that it's provided a bit of a bumper in sales for the Xbox in the UK, and that is the true power of COD, if true.
Yes, indeed. Jesus.
But you can play the old COD games, supposedly. I mean, you'll run into numerous hackers. You'll probably have a bad time, and it probably won't be as good as you remember. But you can do it.
Is that
if
very
you want.
similar to the modern COD games? But yeah. Sorry.
Okay, there's some truth in that. But you can buy those games on your current Xbox with back compatibility and all that kind of stuff. So, and I think they've motored up the charts. So,
Excellent.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll take us on to the main news. There was some leaks this week, weren't there? So I'm going to tell you about a little Sony leak. Sony will reportedly release an upgraded PS5 Pro hardware model in November 2024. That's according to a report from Tom Henderson, who successfully leaked PlayStation's hardware plans in the past, so we kind of know he knows stuff. Mm-hmm. The PS5 Pro has apparently been in active development since 2022, with most studios allegedly scheduled to receive dev kits by November this year at the latest. That's all ahead of a reported November 2024 launch. The upgraded system will aim to be improved frame rates in 4K resolution, optional 8K modes, and accelerated ray tracing. There's no mention of a price at this time, but you can probably bet your bottom dollar that it's gonna cost you the price of a car. You seen this, guys?
Yeah, seen it. I think this is Sony's push to sell 8K TVs.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't care about 4K gaming, let alone 8K. So I don't know. I think Xbox or Phil Spencer have said that they're not really interested in doing a mid-generation refresh.
Yes.
So the last time that PlayStation did a mid-generation refresh was obviously the PS4 Pro, but that made sense because of 4K kind of kicking off at the time, and 4K TVs and all that kind of stuff. Nobody's going out there buying an 8K TV.
No.
And if you are, then fair enough, you've got all the money in the world. But the games aren't going to do that. And I it might be nice to have something that to have the latest technology and all these pieces of hardware get outdated very quickly. So I'm not against it. Like, release your Pro model. I don't give a fuck. You're not making it a gate for anyone, because you're still going to have the other models. But it's just, I'd just be interested to hear what their purpose is, what they're trying to achieve by doing it.
Well, seeing as this was a leak, I imagine we will hear more later.
Right.
Well, yeah, I
By
mean,
the time they decide. But yeah.
I mean, most people have most people looking at this, and I've seen so many commentary pieces on this, that people are pretty convinced that this is real.
Yes.
So, but it's and people have hypothesized about the price and things like that, and maybe that it might be coming out about the same price as the normal PlayStation, but maybe without a disc drive. So your disc drive would cost an extra £100 or whatever on top, but you could probably get it as a digital model. That type of marketing might work. But it's a different time to when they released the Pro model for the PS4. So how they're going to kind of shoehorn that in is quite interesting. And there's also been a lot of people shouting, "Oh, we don't need this, blah blah blah. We haven't unlocked the potential of the PS5 as it is." It's like, well, yeah, but new tech, they're still going to push it. So,
yeah. I mean,
PCs get upgraded all the time.
Do you have any interest in it, Ben?
Like
a year and a bit.
Yeah, I might trade up. Like, if it was available. If it was available, I'd probably trade up. I didn't get the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
So, but because you can play everything on the base model, it's only if... I just feel like developers are struggling at the moment with all the different SKUs. So with the Series S, the Series X, and the PlayStation 5, and then if you add a PlayStation 5 Pro, and then if you're doing old consoles as well, maybe, like, it's just... It would appear like it might be just a lot to be dealing with. So, who knows? If we could just get a 60 frame standard on everything, that would be great. I mean, I don't know who... I did hear people saying, like, aimed at hardcore gamers and stuff like that. I think hardcore gamers don't care about this stuff.
No,
like,
God, no.
I play on a monitor. Like, I play on a 2K monitor. I don't give a fuck. I play in handheld. Like, Eddie, you play far more games than I know anyone else does, and you don't give a fuck how anything looks.
I honestly think I see it the opposite of, like, a hardcore gamer focuses on just playing relentlessly and they care about mechanics, while they do like they would. I feel like 75% of hardcore gamers would choose mechanics over graphics, over looks.
I completely agree. I even saw on Twitter over the weekend somebody that had loads of so many comments on it. It was talking about the Series S, and it was being quite nice towards it. It was saying, "Oh, it's a good console, but it's aimed towards the casuals, like hardcore gamers going to Series X." I was thinking, no, they don't. But a hardcore gamer could be perfectly happy with a Series S because they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They just want to play the games they want to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. And I think good mechanics overcome bad graphics. Good graphics do not overcome bad mechanics.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not even sure if that's just for the hardcore, but I think for most gamers, that's probably true.
I don't know, a lot of people just like things to look nice on their TV.
I honestly, I would go the other way. I would actually say good-looking games are for casual gamers. You know, the ones that buy one game every 2 months and it's a fucking blockbuster. You know, like an Assassin's Creed game or God of War or something, and then they are really impressed by how it looks. I think for casual gamers.
I think you're onto something. That I think we often confuse hardcore gamers with just people that play all the AAA games.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't consider myself a hardcore gamer. I don't think.
But you've played Dark Souls, Ben. So very
played
old
Dark
callback there.
The deepest of callbacks.
That couldn't be deeper. That was literally episode one.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think I'm a hardcore gamer, but I will put, I play a shit ton of games.
Yes.
But I'm a halfway house. I do like things to look good, and I like all the latest tech. But I think we do confuse those things, and people do consider themselves. And when people were using that word, it's quite hard to understand who they're talking about, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway, move on.
Yes, I think we probably should. And I can move us along by pointing out that Final Fantasy 16 has apparently had extremely strong sales. This
Nice.
report, and actually links back to the last time I was on, I think, where we were talking about how they were worried about the pre-release stuff. They were worried about the numbers.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the mists of time when I last... Yes. But, yes, this is Square Enix, who came out and said that they've been extremely strong. That was the exact quote. And we did have a previous report that the PS5 exclusive sold 3 million copies worldwide in under a week on release, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
That obviously sparked some debate at the time and some comparison to the two previous mainline Final Fantasy games, which is 15 and the 7 remake. And Square Enix actually issued a full statement to IGN pointing out the difference in install base between PS4 and PS5. So I'll now quote, "With 38 million PS5 consoles shipped globally as of 31st of March 2023, sales of Final Fantasy 16 surpassed 3 million units worldwide several days after its release on June 22nd, 2023. Taking into consideration the sales figures of the acclaimed Final Fantasy 7 remake, and the difference in... I know, they really went to town with the copyright here.
Lovely.
And the difference in size of the install base of the PlayStation 4 at the time and of this title's release, we can see that the attach rate of Final Fantasy 16 is considerably high, given the PS5 install base." A lot of qualifiers as well.
Is considerably high.
Considerably high, yeah. Not higher.
What a weird turn of phrase.
Not higher.
Not
considerably
higher.
high.
Considerably high. What considered to what?
Come on, Ben, let me finish my quote. I put it in bold on the document for a reason. Come on now.
Yeah, there you go.
Square Enix considers the initial sales results of Final Fantasy 16 to be extremely strong. See what I meant by a direct quote? And we will continue to carry out a wide range of initiatives to encourage even more people to play the game. So yeah.
If this is a press release, considerably high, does that even make sense?
Not really, no, but we'll let them have it because they did get acclaimed in there about one of their own games, which...
Very nice.
I have a lot of time for that level of arrogance. Well played, guys. Well played, yes. By comparison, by the way, Final Fantasy VII Remake sold 3.5 million copies in 4 days and hit the 5 million mark after 4 months. Bit of a slowdown, but well done to them. But it was released towards the end of PS4's life cycle. Final Fantasy 15 sold 5 million copies on its first day, but it was a multi-platform release. So there's a few factors involved here. Another one we should probably mention is the fact that this is the first Final Fantasy game with a mature rating. Probably again for using the name Clive, which must offend more than just me.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. And we do know that Square Enix are infamously critical of its own sales and often set ridiculous targets. Like, ridiculous. So there's a lot of things going on here, but clearly they felt the need to toot their own horn with this press release. Do we agree? Do we think it's been very successful? Like, based on those numbers?
I think 3 million is exceptionally impressive.
Okay, not considerably. Okay.
Not considerably high.
Not considerably high.
I don't really know what that means. Like, it's okay. Well, it's
maybe there's a
high.
translation error. Maybe that's also part of this.
Yeah, just don't. Does that even make sense? Anyway, yeah, I think 3 million is fantastic. If 38 million PS5s, like 3 million bought this game, like that is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, you would. I mean, by this point, we're probably at 10% of everyone who's got a PS5 has got that game.
Exactly.
That's not a bad
insane.
thing, is it? Yeah.
That's it. Like, if they're putting estimates out there, that's got to be toppy, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah. I think in comparison, it's not impressive, but yes, it is impressive.
You're right. Like, if you compare it to Final Fantasy 15 just on base numbers, you sold 5 million copies in a day. Yeah, but the attach rate to the PS5, like, that's pretty damn good, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't be upset with those figures. I wouldn't. I wouldn't fire people over it.
But it is, I suppose it's PlayStation's biggest release of the year, apart from Spider-Man coming up, but like they haven't had a big exclusive for some time. But yeah, I don't think they really had any. So I suppose people were chomping at the bit for a new exclusive.
You would think
that must have helped.
Yes. It also does make me think, if they've only released 38 million PS5 consoles at this point, consoles, not the game. If they've been that, why the bloody hell are they looking at the Pro already? No, anyway, that's
it's kind of I think that the whole life cycle thing has been thrown out a little bit because of COVID and everything.
Yes.
Like games being developed,
Chip
people were saying,
shortage,
because a lot of games are having to be hybrid over the old generation, which wouldn't have been the case had COVID not been around. You would have thought. Yeah. So a lot of people are making that point around the new console. Like, well, since when do you have an exclusive next-gen game? I mean, this is an example of one, but there aren't many.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right, shall I move on?
I think you should, yes.
There was another leak, as Eddie alluded to. So the Project Q, there was a video circulating on Twitter this weekend of someone supposedly with a working version of Project Q, the handheld. So if you remember, that's the PS5 streaming device that we talked about. That was shown at their summer conference or whatever we call it these days. And this video showed the buttons being pressed and that type of stuff. And it also showed what looked like an Android operating system. So this system has been kind of heavily criticised. Firstly, because it's just a streaming device. There's no native play. It is just streaming from the PS5. And a number of handhelds already do that. So the Steam Deck will do that with certain apps, and the Backbone can do it on your phone and that type of stuff. So this already happens. But so first of all, it was criticised because of that, and secondly, it was criticised because people just hate the look. It appears like people are really criticising the look of this thing, and in this video, it was even kind of like disassembled, and it looks like a controller, the PS5 controller cut in half, and a tablet just stuck in between, and the back of it looks kind of like the Satisfy grip for the Nintendo Switch, if people know what that is, like where you just slip your console into this grip essentially to put controller on the sides. So people are having a big go, a lot of pushback. I am a handheld gamer, as I've said loads of times on this podcast, and I don't ever game on a TV. There's always a monitor or a handheld, and the one thing that handhelds have in common, in my opinion, that is really, really shit, is that the controller is never optimal, never ever optimal. And I don't really understand why people are having such a big issue with this. Like, nobody's telling you that you need to buy this thing. And if you were going to kind of like survey somebody who loves handheld gaming and said, what do you want from a kind of like handheld that could play the latest games? Well, you'd say, can I just have a normal controller and just put a screen between it?
Yeah.
Like, it's that fucking simple, and it solves this problem of the not wanting to play on your TV, not occupying the TV in your home, and not using the god-awful controller of a handheld system, because there's so much vocal like negativity towards just how this looks, but I can only assume that most people complaining just don't own a handheld PC. Like, the controllers are shit. Like, there's no getting around it. Like, the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, gash. Steam Deck, it's fine, but ultimately gash. I've got the One X player. Yeah, it's gash. Like, controller is just far superior, and like, I don't understand. Like, the look of it just doesn't concern me. It's surely about how it plays. Like, is this really comfortable to play with? You'd think it would be, because it's just a normal controller.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the most important thing?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a bit difficult, isn't it? You also have to remember that people just like shouting stuff down, don't they? Like, especially when it's new tech. At least in my experience, especially the moment you see new tech, people love to have a go immediately.
Yeah, I just don't know what somebody would, if they made a nice new, like, okay, the fact that this is just streaming, people are going to have a go at that, obviously, because if Sony end up charging £300 for this or something, you would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do get that, but like, when people have a go at like how it looks and stuff like that, I just think, well, what do you want them to do? Come up with something that looks really great on design, but ultimately is exactly the same as every other awful fucking... You can't play first-person shooters on like the Steam Deck.
No.
Like, it's just not gonna happen.
I will say, Ben, they are going to charge an extortionate amount.
Yeah, and I'll pay it. But and I know it does the same as what the other stuff, but I just like the idea, cut a controller in half and stick an 8-inch fucking tablet in between it, please. That's all I want. But yeah, it's getting a lot of hate, guys. It's got a lot of hate. People want this to fail.
Yeah, and they definitely do. I also, by the way, I've just taken another look at the pictures for this. I reckon it's a work in progress model. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the one they showed. That's the one they showed at the event, Pete.
Okay, I still don't think that's going to be the final version. I'll be honest.
But what would you do to change it? Like, if they think their controller is the best way to play, like, how do you change it?
I suppose all I'm thinking, Ben, is as someone without tiny hands, such as yourself, a little bit more room between the screen and the edge of the joy.
Well, I would say that if that controller isn't for anything but tiny hands, that's a fucking huge controller. The PS5 controller is big. It's much bigger than the Xbox controller in my
It is,
my
but there's
opinion.
a small gap between the screen and the actual controller.
Well, my slender fingers might just get in there.
Slip right in there? Right, yeah.
Yeah.
This has gone
Okay.
horribly wrong, isn't
That's
it?
weird.
It is taking a turn.
But no.
Right.
Do you think you're going to get one of these, Ben? That's the other question.
I do. I do think I'll get one for the pure reason that I don't really want a backbone, because it uses your phone, and you use your phone all the time.
Yeah.
And the Steam Deck, the app that I have on the Steam Deck, it's just not good enough. It doesn't. It's not good enough for remote playing the PS5. It cuts out a load. Like, the Xbox One I've got works seamlessly, like, all the time, any internet connection.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping that this will be better for that. It'd be a roaring shame if it needed a really, really top internet connection. But the Xbox One doesn't seem to. So
It would be a roaring shame, will it?
yeah, a crying, roaring.
Shall
shame.
we predict a price on it? That's a better one.
Oh.
The winner,
Yes.
the winner gets a free one.
Gets
from
a
the
free
other
one.
two.
From the other two people.
The other two have to chip in.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a big... And Kirk, obviously. Kirk has to pay his share. Yes,
All right, Eddie,
fair.
you go first since you suggested it.
I am gonna go with £190.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Go on, Ben. Make your bun.
Don't say 189, Ben, else I will fucking lose it.
Closest doesn't win. Closest doesn't win. Just actually spot on.
£230.
Oh, that's really close to what I wanted to go for. Damn it. I actually think Ben's on it. I was going to be as specific as to say 229.99.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm sitting. Is that sort of mark, I reckon, for them.
Yeah. Okay. I can see it there because as much as I'd like it to be, I cannot see it under 200 because the controller itself is like, 78 quid, something like that. Controller's that, and then chuck in a tablet which has like an Android operating system, albeit not a lot going on, but a little bit of memory and stuff. That's going to be at least 100. There's going to be a markup on top, you think?
I think just the fact that competition out there are all a lot cheaper, I think that would force them to maybe go cheaper.
That worked with PSVR 2, didn't
it? The counter to that, Eddie, is Apple. Look at their iPads. iPads and Android tablets can be side by side, like just as good as each other, but the iPad is so much more expensive.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sticking with it.
We'll still buy it every time.
I'm going to get my 190.
Okay. Excellent. Well, with that, I think we probably should move on from this news story and on to the new releases.
Ooh, new releases section. It's a quiet week, but there's one or two in there that's not bad. So there you go. Sit back and relax. Listen to my sexy voice. The first one, Double Dragon Gaiden? Gaiden? Is it Gaiden?
I think so.
Gaiden.
It was Ninja Gaiden, wasn't it? So.
There you go. That makes sense. Rise of the Dragons. Coming out on PC, PlayStations, Xboxes and Switch, July 27th. The Double Dragon brothers return in this fresh addition to the iconic beat-em-up franchise. With roguelite elements, every playthrough is a chance at new action. Tag in with 2 of 4 starter characters or unlock 9 additional characters, each with their own special moves and unique play styles. Very nice. The visuals are a bit like Ninja Turtles, you know, that game that came out last year.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that game, I would have said, what's it called, Metal Slug. So I'm glad that came out because it sounds like I'm ripping it by saying that, but I'm not. It doesn't seem so deep to me, but it doesn't need to be. It could be a great little fun handheld game. What do you guys think, Ben? How about you? Little handheld game?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it was like the Turtles one that came out last year.
Yeah.
Very much like that. It looks good. If you're into this series, like franchise from way back when, then sure you have a blast with it.
Have a blast. Pete, anything?
I have absolutely no interest in this.
Lovely.
I do like at least that they do have the clean sort of art style that you can do with these, like Ninja Turtles. But
you could see someone having a blast of this, though, Pete.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Sure. I will also say I'm incredibly glad they didn't turn beat 'em up into BMU. If you remember that acronym that took us ages to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, beat 'em up is annoying as it is as well. Like, come on, just beat them up. I don't know. I don't know. I asked.
That's the most positive thing I can say about this. Anyway.
Wow. Okay, that they didn't put that in their blurb. Right, brilliant.
Yes.
Let's move on to Let's School, coming out on PC July 27th. Dive into the exhilarating role of a headmaster. Wowee. Okay. Let's start that one again. Dive into the exhilarating role of a headmaster entrusted to revive your alma mater. Behind just bricks and mortar, train teachers, recruit students, and pioneer clubs. Sculpt your school. That's difficult to say with a mouthful of phlegm, just so you know. Into a unique educational haven. Let's School. Yeah, that's a good blurb. It's a kind of school tycoon game, if you hadn't guessed by the blurb. The visuals are quite cartoony, but really nice. Like, really nicely polished. I love the look of this game. Each student has like unique interests and aspirations, so like there's all these things you have to do. It's not just simply like building new things. You can build multiple stories, which I found really interesting because I can't remember the last type of game like this that you could do that, which is pretty cool. And there's a free demo on Steam. I'm not going to lie, guys. I love management games, as we all know. I think the visuals look nice. I think the UI looks nice. I think this game is nice. There you go.
You've wishlisted it, haven't you?
I may or may have not.
Liar. It's definitely on there. Yeah, no,
It's on there, Pete, but so is 103 other games. So it doesn't.
Fair point. Yeah, fair point.
It doesn't matter anymore.
No, to be fair, I do understand why. I think for those who like these sort of management sims, I think it'll be a really good one. The blurb I do have questions about. Exhilarating was an interesting choice. Recruiting students, surely there's a catchment that you're just getting everyone from, and then maybe a few. Yeah, whatever. I'm sure it'll work fine, but it does have a great UI. It does look really sharp for this type of game. Yeah, I think if you like this type, it's a goodie.
Ben, do you like this?
I think it looks clean visually. I think the music has got to you. Because I think this is going to be one of the most boring games I've ever seen in my life. But the music does suggest there's something jaunty to it.
And this from a man who liked Power Wash Simulator. My God.
Great game.
Exactly. So what does it say about this game?
I mean, it's troubling, to say the least, yeah.
Makes you second guess, right? But yeah, I think I think the music has taken you on a ride there, because music was decent.
Yeah, well, you remember Theme Hospital?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
We
all do.
That song is etched into my nose.
Oh, yes. For our listeners, type in Fortune Theme Hospital. I have listened to that song over 1,500 times. There you go.
It upon everyone he
And you know what's amazing about the statistic is I also played that song on repeat when I played the game. So that number's probably more like 3 Gs up there, you know what I'm saying?
No, that would check out.
Yes, I know what you are saying.
Yes, thank you. Good. Right, let's move on to Disney Illusion Island, coming out on Switch July 28th. Join Mickey and friends on a quest to explore the mysterious island of Monoth, I'm going to call it that, and recover 3 mystical books to save the world from disaster in Disney Illusion Island for Nintendo Switch. Choose your favourite character and unlock special abilities as you perform high-flying platforming feats, solve fun puzzles, and take on epic boss battles. Oh, fuck my life. It's a platformer with puzzle solving. There's 4-player co-op as well. That's all the information I have. And to be honest with you, it doesn't look like it's much more than that.
Yeah.
Ben, I'm going to come to you first, as you are a Switch boy.
We saw it at an event.
Something, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a Switch event, or it might have been Summer Games Fest. It probably was a Nintendo Direct, I guess.
Surely a Nintendo Direct,
and
it was probably the one with all the younger generational games. Did you know?
Yeah, it might have been that last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been that last one. Yeah, because that was almost a transition piece, wasn't it?
Yes.
I think, it's got they focused a lot on the cutscenes and stuff in the trailers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't actually think this looks that bad. I think it'll sell well, actually.
I think it'll sell well. I also do think it looks quite bad.
I completely second that. Yeah.
It looks. You just said. How can you say "Let's School"?
No.
You guys.
Let's School looks fucking amazing.
The environments look nice. I mean, as a whole game, not just its graphical look.
I mean, sure. I don't want to play it, but graphically, it looks fine.
Yeah.
I don't like the art style as well.
Yeah. Nor do I.
That's just Disney, though.
I just don't like classic Disney.
That's not having a go at the game. That's just.
I'm having a go at
Disney.
I'm having a go at Disney. I'm having a go at this game. I'm also having a go at the Switch.
He's shotgunning at the wall.
Right,
nice.
yeah,
I'm glad
okay,
you got the
right,
Switch
shit.
bashing.
That was a Switch drive-by there.
There you go. What do you want? Let's move on to an actual game instead of a Switch game. F1 Manager 2023. Woo! Coming out on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox 31st of July. The intense world of Formula One, trademarked, comes alive for a new season in F1 Manager 2023. Pre-purchase the deluxe edition to gain 4 days early unlock. Why'd you include that in the blurb? Why'd you do that? Pete, why'd you even paste it in? Allowing you to play from the 27th of July. Oh, there you go. So it actually comes out the 27th, right? Along with the exclusive scenarios pack and 3 exclusive race moments. So yeah, it's the manager game where you take control of the Formula 1 team. The visuals again look great. The UI, I said this last year, looks gorgeous. Now there's 6 F1 sprint events. There's new cars, there's new circuits, including the Las Vegas Strip circuit. There's new drivers and there's new challenges. Ben, you got the last one, and you actually quite liked it for a month or two.
Yeah, I did like it. It was the first one, the 2022 one, and so they probably learnt a lot of lessons. There were a lot of things that didn't quite work and were a bit broken in the game in terms of like tyres and things like that, but they seem to have made some improvements. One of the improvements, I think, is that before you used to like add stats to your drivers would like, through experience, get points that you could then assign to them to like upgrade them in different areas that they're cornering or something like that.
Right.
But in this one, it's a bit more like Football Manager in so much as you tell them areas to focus on, and then over time they'll get better at those things, which
nice.
I think is much better.
That's less immersion breaking than the other
exactly,
way.
Exactly. So I'm sure they've made iterative improvements on this, and it'll just be a bit better than the last one, which I did thoroughly enjoy.
Mm.
And it's a relatively budget release, relatively, like 40 quid or something.
Yeah, 45 quid.
Yeah, okay.
That's not bad. I hope it comes down in price because it's, I was and ahhing about the last one, wasn't I, Ben?
Yeah.
So might give it a go.
I think it's just shy of the level of depth that you would want, if I'm honest with you.
Right.
The last one, I think it would need a few years to get to the level of depth that I think you'd enjoy. But if it came down in price a lot, and you fancied having a go, I think that would be good to go with that frame of mind.
Yeah, I've had it on my wish list for a while, but the problem is it doesn't come down to put it in perspective. F1 Manager 22 right now is £45.
Shit. Yeah, it needs to go to Game Pass for you to even think about it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Really?
Well, no. This is like a good £15, £20 game for me.
What I mean is, it's never going to come down to that price.
No, it's
so
not.
You
You're
need
totally
it to
right.
Go on Game Pass.
You're totally right. This is a minimum £30 job, and I'm not spending £30 on this game. So.
No, and nor do I think you should really. It's one for fans, I think, and I think there is an extra layer that they need to develop into the game.
I'm glad you put it that way, Ben, because I'm obviously not a big F1 fan and thus wouldn't buy this, and I was going to have a bit of a go. But I remembered that the makers of this made Elite Dangerous. So you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same studio. They're good at making games. So for one, they probably have the ability to add their extra level of depth. So I wonder why they haven't.
Well, I think it is an iterative process. I mean, isn't it? Like, these are yearly released games. It's just like Football Manager and something, and
True.
you get a platform out there, and then you just develop on it, and then it is this kind of small improvement each time, and then by year 3 or 4, I think you're really cooking.
Yeah,
and I think that's it, and I think it was a great start last year, absolutely was, and it was a good game. But there were some obvious things kind of lacking with it, and I look forward to where it goes though.
Yes.
Yeah, for our listeners, it's Frontier Games, which, fuck me, they do, like, probably the biggest one, Jurassic World Evolution 2, and, as Pete said, Elite Dangerous. They do Roller Coaster Tycoon, they do Western Front,
Planet
they do Chaos
Zoo,
Gate,
yeah.
Planet Zoo, Stranded Alien Dawn is on my wish list. I bet that's a
Very
bloody
big
film.
pedigree, haven't they?
Yeah,
They never miss, some might say. Yeah.
they
there you
never miss. I'm actually
I've
scrolling
never
down
seen
to-
a miss. Never seen a miss.
No, I can't find a miss on the list. Oh,
Did
yes.
just
here's another. Oh no, Far Changing Tides. You absolutely love that, Ben.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Damn
Like,
it. Right, they don't miss. Damn it. Let's move on. Last one, Ninja or Die, Shadow of the Sun, coming out on PC, August 2nd. Set at the heart of the cataclysmic event in Edo, Japan, Ninja or Die, Shadow of the Sun is an ultra-fast roguelite inspired by Japanese folklore. Unleash the power, speed, and soul of the ninja using acrobatic jumping to... Acrobatic jumping?
Yeah. It's more than just normal jumping.
Well, how does acrobatic jumping change from jumping?
You like spin in the air and shit, I bet.
Yeah. Balletic, you know.
That's outrageous, because that's still jumping. It's not acrobatic jumping. Like,
Yeah, like flipping and that.
Yeah. Maybe there's some high rings or a bar or something.
Well,
that they're
well,
going.
that would be fine then. Yeah, if they jumped like onto a beam or something, that's acrobatic.
You're just thinking of the Olympics right now.
Well, now it's
That
just
one might be
jumping.
involved. Come on now.
It's still just jumping. This is not okay. To move and attack. There you go. Just it's a roguelite precision platformer. It's got quite simple visuals. It looks... they weren't lying by saying ultra fast, because it looks fucking fast paced and it looks pretty damn manic. It's too manic for me, and it's got like this visuals are like kind of dark and simple and like Sega Mega Drive-y, but I don't like these games anyway. So what do you guys think?
I think manic is a very good word. I do like the odd 2D platformer. We've talked about them before. This is one of those where the combination of it being really fast paced and the style of graphics they've gone for just makes it look really messy to me, and that's immediately off-putting.
Yeah, like if you watch actual gameplay footage, it's fucking it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a cocaine addict's fever dream. Like, it's mad.
Yeah, I think I'm too shit at games to play something like this.
That I could also understand, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, dear, that's a shame. Right, we landed on a really shit one. That's it for the new releases. Yeah, as I said, there's a couple good games in there. I am going to pick, for my pick of the week, I really like F4 Manager, but it's got to be Let's School. I think that game looks charming and wonderful.
Ben is furious. Fantastic. That's how I like to end a series. So perfect. That carries us into what we've been playing very nicely. And once again, I have an admission of guilt that I've basically only played WoW, guys. And I've
You've been away for 4 weeks.
I know, and I've barely even played that. I've missed 3 raids. I'm getting so much shit in my guild. It's really, really poor form. I also desperately wanted to play more Stellaris, and I haven't been able to do that either. But wouldn't have helped you guys or our listeners. But
I desperately wanted to play that game that I've played 2,000 hours of. Desperately.
One of the games I've played 2,000 hours of, Ben. Come on now. So sadly, I am reliant on you, but I would like to start with you, Ben, because I do want to hear more about Oxenfree 2.
Yeah, so I finished it this week. It's not a terribly long game. I think we talked about it last week. It's about 4 or 5 hours long for your first playthrough. Mm-hmm. I would say that from what I remember, the overall game is better. Like, every aspect of it is better. Like how it feels, the fluidity of conversation, the going about the different areas and plotting your route, and even the characters. I probably preferred the characters because you are walking around with someone predominantly for the whole of the game called Jacob, and he's good as well as a character. There are multiple endings to this game. There are. The beauty of it is that there are, I think, a lot of decisions that you make throughout the game that lead you to a particular path at the end, and you kind of don't know what really is making those pivotal, like, changes in direction. You don't really have a clue what's kind of caused that. Towards the end, there is an obvious decision that you make, and that has changes the ultimate end. And the one that I chose and the route that I went down, it didn't hit me as hard as the first game did. There was like a mechanic. One of the issues that I had right at the end of the game was that there is a particular mechanic where you're scrolling through your radio and for causing things to happen, and you do get a wider range on that radio throughout the game, and you kind of have to scroll through it to trigger little events as they happen in the world. And if you kind of go the wrong way on the radio, then you're kind of scrolling for a shit ton of time to just try this, to find this trigger in it to make something happen. And you know what? it slowed me down in literally the last thing in the game. I was like, fucking hell, I was taking minutes and minutes and minutes just to find the trigger. That really pissed me off, It really soured that end for me. But the actual ending that I got, I don't know, the way the first game ended was like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it was I didn't really expect it, and it was just like bam, and then I was left with this massive feeling of loss. But in this one, I kind of just accepted it. I don't know, it's weird. It didn't hit me as hard. So, but I'm not sure if that's the game's fault, because I've listened to a lot of people talk about Oxenfree 2 and the ending, and they say that it's better in every way from the first one. So, the main difference that I see between the first one and the second one, I'd just thinking out loud here, would be the first one, I had no expectations going into it, and it got darker kind of towards the end, whereas this one, you do have expectations, and it was kind of dark all the way through. So,
well, that was going to be one of the first things I asked you, to be honest, Ben. Is like tone and atmosphere in these, obviously a big part of these games. How do they compare? How does it compare to the original?
Well, it's definitely similar. In tone, and if you liked the first one, you'll like the second one, just like if you like the second one, you'll like the first one. But I would say, if you were going to play these, definitely start with the first one. It does provide some extra context. There is a character who kind of is across both directly, and the first one, if you don't know much going into them, the first one definitely has a bigger impact and shift of tone throughout the game. Whereas this kind of has it throughout, because you kind of know already what the game's about, and it's a bit like supernatural, otherworldly type thing. So that's the main difference, I'd say. Okay,
and then the other one, I suppose, would link back to your mentioned at the very beginning there about the length of the game. Do you think these would benefit from being a bit longer? Or do you think the length as it is the selling point in part?
So I think it's important these games are short. And the reason I say that, they feel longer, but they do not outstay their welcome. Like, they feel longer because these games are very narrative driven. They're walking along the fluidity of the conversation, and you picking replies and all that kind of stuff. That works, but only for a short. You couldn't have that being 10 hours long. I think that's. But this definitely feels like it's longer, because I tended to play in shorter chunks. Like, you could just sit through this and one and done it, but I think it deserves a little bit more, if you know what I mean. And there are some extra things that you can investigate, some different side things if you want to, and before the end of the game it clearly says, look, you're going to the end of the game now, make sure you've done everything you want to do. But I think these games are good because they are that 4 or 5 hour long mark.
Okay. And I suppose, almost tied to it, with the multiple endings bit, do you think it would be better to have to replay the whole thing to get different endings? Like in full?
Yes, because the thing is, it saves it basically just prior to the point where it's like, you're at the end. And so you can replay that end bit, essentially. I think it would, because it devalues it a lot to me that I just go back and pick a different ending. Like, for me, these games are all about your playthrough. Like, almost like every other ending doesn't matter. Like, the one that I chose is the canon for me, if you know what I mean. And I think you should have to. I know it's not like in a trophy hunters thing or whatever they want to do, but I would like to play the whole thing again and experience it differently, I think. And if I purposely haven't done the other endings yet, I think I'll just wait, and then I'll just play it again and go down a different route. I think that'd be my way of doing it. But it just adds a bit of longevity to the game as well.
I always think it should be the option when they're that short to make it a full replay if you want a different ending.
Well, you've got 3 save files on this game, so I think it's 3 save. So you can start a new slot or whatever, or you could just go and see what the other endings are. But I kind of don't really want to do. And I'm also interested to know what the rest of the game. If I'd said different things at different times, like, would that have affected things ultimately going into the end scenario? And it might have done. So that last decision might have been slightly different again. It's one of those games where it's not clear how much your input has on the end.
Okay.
So, yeah. But very good game. Very, very good game. You like these types of games, you will not be disappointed. The first one and the second one, both really, really fun games.
Excellent. And what else have you been playing, Ben? Because I know that's not the only thing.
Diablo 4 Season 1. Season 1 came out, so... Yeah, I've started my hardcore barbarian character. I'm around level 30. Just taking it slow, playing as and when. Not going to rush it through. There's no point really doing that. I think they're going to put in some buffs for the barbarian in a couple of weeks anyway. So playing that.
Yeah, you'd obviously mentioned this, and obviously I was desperately trying to download the update and failing miserably to give it a go, even though I have no time to do so. But I'm mostly curious about the hardcore experience so far.
Yes.
Because I've actually chatted about this to other people who are playing.
Yeah.
And I think you're the only person I know who's fully committed to hardcore. And most of them are turning around and saying that takes away every element of relaxation that you get from smashing demons up. Are you finding that?
I find that if you're playing seasons with this type of game, it's almost pointless to not be playing hardcore. In my mind, it doesn't. If most people are not playing hardcore, and it doesn't diminish what they're doing. I'm just saying, in my mind, it's for me like it just means the more you play, the higher your level gets on the other one. Like, it doesn't really matter what you do; you just play more, and you get more experience, and your level goes up. But in hardcore, I found it so much more fun. It's just so much more fun to know that you could die at any point. Like,
and that's it. It's over. Yeah.
And Diablo is fantastic because Diablo is not like other games. Like Diablo, other games it's like, oh, you make 3-4 mistakes in a row, then you'll die. But Diablo's like, you make one mistake, or you've been one shot by something massive, or you've made one mistake, you've got crowd controlled, and then you get smashed. But those moments are what make it brilliant. Like, without that threat, I don't know what I'd be doing. do you know what I mean? Like, I'd have to wrap my head around just doing it, just playing that game more without it being hardcore. I don't know. That's just how I'm feeling at the moment. So,
well, the funny bit is, I would agree, and I imagine Eddie, if you were doing this, you'd go permadeath as well. Because
absolutely,
and everything.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting that I'd literally 8 other people I know playing it were all like, oh god no, that would make it less relaxing. And you're like, oh yeah, but if you're just playing it to smack up demons, just stay on your original save. Like,
I don't play games to relax. I play games to feel bad.
To be horrendously stressed and lose everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Rimworld,
absolutely.
We know, yeah.
I have here he is. I have a squidgy meerkat head. And he's been untouched. But then I downloaded FIFA a few weeks ago. He is now missing 2 ears. He has many, many bite marks in him. And half his head is ripping apart.
Your stress reactions are interesting, Eddie.
There you go.
Yes, I think you should play hardcore Diablo, Eddie. I think that's what I'm saying. But it was just an interesting one for me that you were the only one I know doing it. But every time we've chatted about it before you'd thought of it, I was there like, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so, like I've been saying it for ages, Pete, hadn't I? Like that's the route I wanted to go down because like it just adds meaning to it for me. But yeah, most people aren't doing it, and people are loving the game. There's fucking play it however you want. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But that's why I want to do it this way.
To be fair, though, to anyone listening right now, I would be very interested to hear why you wouldn't go hardcore in seasonal play. Like, what particular reason it would give you for the seasons not to?
Yes, that's the way I feel about it. Because it's seasonal play, it's like you're gonna have to restart.
Just a stack of 100 level 100 characters. Like what?
Yeah, like what is the? I can understand if you just got an eternal realm like your first character, like I've got, whatever. You just want to get that to 100, do it. But when you're doing seasons, so you're playing all the time, and if you are going to play this game in perpetuity, you're going to play it for 10 years or whatever, on and off, like, it would make sense to me for it to be hardcore, but
now,
I don't know.
The other thing is, the truly hardcore version, Ben, is that this is can be your only character for season 1.
I know, I was thinking that, but Pete, that'll probably be right.
Hardcore.
Yeah, but that'll probably be right, because if I don't die quickly, then it probably will be my only character. And if I get to like level 60, level 70, then I'd be like, and die, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not doing that again. And that's fine. I'm literally fine with that, though. Yeah, I'm fine to get 25 hours and then go, all right, I'll wait for the next season. That's fine.
Yeah, I actually think it might well be the true way to play this game.
Yeah, I'd be perfectly happy with that. Yeah.
Excellent. And, well, no, let's move to Eddie. Ben's had enough airtime now. Go on, Eddie, what have you been playing?
Yeah, but then we're ending on his Exo Primal, which he's already talked about.
I know, but we ended new releases on Ninja or Die, so it feels fair to flop
Okay,
it in.
right, fine. We're ending on downers today. Right, that's good. I have been playing Vampire Survivors. Woo!
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
but a lot of
yes.
people's game of the year in last year, so that's quite important, I guess. So, for those of you who don't know, I'll just quickly say it's an action roguelike with like kind of pixelated graphics. It's very like old school gamey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right? like kind of Sega Mega Drive looking, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe PlayStation 1.
Pixelated.
Yeah, but it's on Game Pass, and even to buy it's like £4, so it's fair enough. So I loaded up, and I started a game, and I like moved around, and I was like, oh, I can't attack. Pause it. Oh, there's no controller support. There's like, it's saying no controls here. Type in controllers, how to hit. Oh, it's automatic. I was like, well, what are the controls? And then the controls went, oh, the only controls are the movement. I was like, oh my God, I fucking hate this game. How is there a whole game on this? How is there, it released in 2022, is there a game with pixelated graphics where you just move in a direction? I was absolutely furious. So obviously, I stopped playing it, played RimWorld. I've got a lovely mod on RimWorld, a nice zombie mod. Oh, yeah, loving it. Really good time. Then I went, I'm going to have to play something for the podcast. Come on. Your listeners want to hear about it. So I was like, right, do a bit. Just get to, I don't know, like if they're levels, get a couple of levels up or whatever. And then I played it, and I carried on playing it, and I was like, okay. And a couple of hours went past, and I was like, I could play a bit more. Let's play a couple more. Let's play a bit more. Then a nice 1 a.m. ran through, and I was like, right, if you get some cereal now and do all your routine, you can be in bed for like before 2, maybe asleep by 2. Then 2 rolls round, and I'm still fucking playing it. I've got to admit, like, I am totally hooked on this game. It is so addictive, it's beyond belief. Like, even like at bed, I swear I get attacked by fucking bats around. And you know what's brilliant about this game is, so obviously the mechanics are so simple, but there's an endless kind of like that you just want to try one more run. And it's because you always like unlock things at the end of a run and you go, oh, that might help you. Or you unlock a new character. Or during that game, you found something and you went like, oh, that's amazing. So like, I remember a couple hours in, I found the garlic. And I fucking loved the garlic. And then I built my whole like runs around finding the garlic and then building up the garlic.
Yeah. And then, when you combine it with the other items to like make them super versions and stuff. Oh my God.
The first time I found like the super whip thing. Jeez.
Christ.
I felt like an absolute king just running around. And that's what's amazing about this game is it's so fucking simple, but it's so good in so many ways. Like that, it just like it's so good. Like I now increase all my luck, for example. Because there's no greater feeling than when you get a level up and you find like the perfect thing that you want, and then you feel great. I'm so disappointed in myself for liking this game so much because it's so simple and it's like the opposite of every game that I say is good. But it's becoming my quick jump on in gameplay, which is normally Xbox, turn it on, play bit of Rocket League, maybe a bit of the PGA game, and then I play a proper game. But now I found myself on 2 occasions today just jumping on here, playing a run. I was a couple of minutes late for after lunch, but it's fine. I'll just carry on playing Vampire Survivors. It's becoming very quickly my jump on and play game, which is dangerous. I've got to admit, like after I played it that first time and I saw how simple it was, and I looked online and I saw the reviews and everyone was raving about it. Metacritic, it's sitting at 87, and I can see why, because even though it is such a simple game, like. What kind of game it is, I can't imagine a game to be better.
The only thing that I'd say is, for me, I felt exactly the same way until suddenly it just fell off a cliff for me, because there's a time you have to survive for, right?
Is it a time? I've noticed there's a time in the middle and then there's a level at the top.
Is it half an hour or something you survive for, and you get to like max level, whatever it is, like you get to the time or the max level, whatever it was, you kind of get to the end and then death comes and like I'm not sure you can do anything about it. I'm not sure. I think I looked it up or something, and it's just like, no, death is inevitable. I was like, okay. And you get to the end and you're like, you do that a couple of times, and you're like, well, what do I do now? I don't know if that is that like the end or something, and I just kind of stopped playing. Yeah,
but Ben, this is a £4 game. To me, like you're totally right, Ben. If you were describing like what would I call like a full-fledged game with depth and everything, I'd be upset by that. But this game is not trying to be that, and that's why I think it's so good. It's the same reason why I think The Ascent was so good. I think for what it is, for what it's trying to be, I should say, for what it's trying to be, it's an absolutely close to perfection game.
Yeah, and for 15 hours or so, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah. And it's so fucking addictive. Honestly, I'm trying to play 2 other games at the moment. I'm trying to play RimWorld, obviously, and then I'm trying to play that stupid game when you're on top of an animal, The Wandering Village. But honestly, like,
that classic.
Shut up, Ben. That's that game that we looked at the other week, and it looks good.
Yeah.
Oh, vintage. You're horrible. Yeah, but I can't. I keep on jumping onto this. And then I find myself 3 hours later. Thank God the missus is away, because she would have been furious with me.
Or staying up till 2:30.
Yes.
Well, I did think as well, she's probably prepped lovely food for him and frozen it, and he just went, I'll get some cereal and play Vampires.
That's exactly what's happened. And I need to eat that food before she gets back, else she's going to know as well. So got a little feast on mine in 2 weeks' time.
Eddie, were you playing this on the Backbone, perchance?
No, I was actually playing it on my extremely impressive PC. Yeah, I know. Do you know what, Ben? It's because I was playing this solely as I'm on a podcast game. Like, yeah. I would not have. Well, I might have played it because obviously everyone says how amazing it is, but like I had no intention of me being this is going to be on my computer for weeks and I'm going to play a lot of hours into it. I was literally playing it for research. I was probably going to chuck like five hours into it and call it a day. But it's becoming more than that.
Yeah, it's a good game. Good game. Shall I finish us off with Exo Primal then?
Go on then, pull it back to you.
Right.
Why not?
Right, Exo Primal is a fucking good game.
Oh wow! Okay, hang on. What you were like happy last time, but
yes, yeah, no, I thought it was good last time, but I think it's really fucking good. It's really fun. I found a character that I think works for me. I play as the barrage guy who's an assault class. He's basically got a grenade launcher, and I've leveled up his grenade launcher so that I've got loads more. I could shoot like 10 grenades out of it, and it's got good blast radius and all this kind of stuff. Like, the character upgrades are actually feel meaningful. And I've started to win games. Like, I was enjoying it even though I was losing games last time, but now I'm starting to win games. Like, I expect to win games, and it feels fucking good. Like, a couple of victories that I've got, like clutch victories where so I discussed it last week, but it's basically a race. So you're doing objectives where you're killing PvE, so you're playing against the environment for most of the game, but it's a race against another team in an alternative universe doing exactly the same thing, fighting off hordes of dinosaurs and then you're trying to get to the final objective. And if you get to the final objective before the other team, then you have an advantage in time. And that final objective could be like getting a particular thing, moving something like a cube close to the final to the finish line, and then transferring some data or something like that. Essentially, it means just controlling an objective and then doing some PvP right at the end. So both teams kind of come to the end and then fight each other in most of the rounds or whatever. And along the way in that final objective, you have it will give each team at different points the ability to control a T-Rex and like go into the other person's world and fuck them up. And it's about timing and usage of that kind of like dinosaur. And when they tried to, it won like clutch victory when they came over to our world in their dinosaur, and they just like took down all of my teammates. And I had my special ready. I clutched up. I got it, like took down all of its health and like fucking got it out of the way so quickly. And it's like, oh shit, right now we have a real chance. And then when the teams came together at the end, like proper PvP, and you're dodging and weaving, and I'm grenade launching the fuck out of everyone, and it just feels amazing. Like you getting kills on people when they're and you're just like, I know how that feels because that was me. Yeah. That was me, and now I'm in there. And it's just it's one of those games where they have attached a story to it. Like I said last week, like the way that they've attached a story to this multiplayer game, I've never seen it done, where you just play multiplayer games and it gives you cutscenes and extra info as you play the game in between the games. So it's almost like you're playing a campaign. And then the further, more story unlocks that you make, the more maps it unlocks and everything, and more types of dinosaurs and things like that. And so when you're playing, and the matchmaking will just be like you play maps equivalent to the lowest person in the whole game kind of thing. So if they're limited on their maps, then obviously you're going to play starter maps. So, but they do progress slightly, and it opens things up a little bit. But it's just fun. Like it's just a bit mindless. Like games are about 10, 12 minutes long. Graphically, it's great. The gunplay's pretty damn good. You're fucking killing hordes of dinosaurs with mechs. Like, what the fuck is there not to like? Like, I don't see anyone talking about this game, and people are just people who've never played it just shitting on it immediately, you know, just as we do. Yes. But so not looking down at people who do that, because we do that as well. But you know, play the game. It's good. I actually recommended this to Kirk because I think it's perfect for him. Now, I haven't played a shit ton of this game. I really haven't. But I think this is going to be my dip-in game. Like, this is a game that I reckon I can log on and have half an hour of real fun and then go and do something else.
I think you could be on something here, because Kirk's most played game is Rocket League, because it's a quick jump
This
in.
could be a Rocket League for him.
And
honestly, I think
on top of that, he loves first-person shooters as well. Sorry. He loves shooters, I should say. So, yeah, I think you're really onto something there.
I think this would be right up his street for those reasons. It looks good. It's a shooter, and it is a pick up and play. It really, really is. It's just fucking fun.
Do you know if it's on Xbox Game Pass? Because I can see it now on PC Game Pass.
So on Xbox Game Pass, yeah. Yeah, I've been playing it on Xbox.
Might have to have a little download.
I think I might dip in as well.
If you just know what it is, like, and you don't go with any crazy expectations, and Capcom, they make fucking good games.
They do.
Like we all took the piss out of this when it kind of, and the look of it and all that kind of stuff, but when you actually play it, you're like, yeah, it's not much to hate here. And when you start upgrading your mech, like for me, it took a while to find a mech that I liked using. But now that I've found one, and now that I'm getting some upgrades with them and some meaningful kind of upgrades, I'm having a blast. It's good. As I said, not played a shit ton, but I've played it for the last 2 weeks just on and off, and I'll just continue to do so.
Mm. It must be said, I think one of the ways they shot themselves in the foot with this, by the way, is that when it's not on Game Pass, it's like 50 quid. Like if you're getting it through any other platform, it's 50 quid, $60. That's a lot. But it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I have heard that kind of leveled at it. When you do have these online games as well, because you never know. Like, you got to have friends playing it and stuff like that to make it really worthwhile. But what I would say is that most people have a headset on this game. Because I was playing on headset yesterday, and everyone in my team had a headset.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty good.
Excellent. Well, actually more positive than I thought it was going to be for the end of what we've been playing. Nice, good stuff. Good stuff, good variety. Now to move on to the real dip, which is the regret games we regretted buying in the feature. So we get to get proper depressed about games. That's the one.
Wow. Jeez.
And actually, I'll start off with a very unfair one, guys, because I am going to put Diablo 4 in my list. And I feel a bit harsh about that. But spending £70 on a game and then not having the time to play it, that is annoying. Let's be honest, that's really irritating. And while it is also adult life, it doesn't help. But it also doesn't help that I probably could have made a bit more time for this if it wasn't so grindy. You know what I mean? It feels like a game that benefits from having a lot of time for it, not one that's just jumping on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just can't do that.
And the thing is, you are very much used to this type of game. You play a lot of World of Warcraft, etc.
Yes,
but I did think the one thing that I thought might not be good for you about this game is that it's ultimately a single-player game, and you thrive in the guild kind of setup and
with
environment.
this type of thing, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a different type of knock when you're playing by yourself, I think.
Yeah, and it is there. It is a bit of a regret for me that I bought it when I did. I think that's maybe how I should put it. I regret buying it when I did. I probably would have got it later for cheaper.
Yeah, true.
So that's the theme we can go with, guys. One of you take us on with another one.
Let me just mention a couple with the same type of reason. Chorus. Do you remember that game, Chorus?
I do. I've got it. Yeah.
I've got it as well.
Yeah.
I still got it.
Don't put me
Doom
off,
Eternal. So the reason I regret buying these is because I used to do this a lot more than I do now, but I do buy games and then not play them. And not play them immediately. Yes. And these two games especially then came to Game Pass at some point, and I just owned them. And there's no reason to, because by the time that I came around to play them, they were both on Game Pass.
I have it on Game Pass. Okay, I feel good again. Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's. I've got.
You were a full price Chorus purchase.
Ooh, yeah, but it was a budget title. It was a AA title.
True.
But still, it was money out of the old bank.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had a number of games that I've bought in the past that either have come to Game Pass or just never really played, and then there's no resale value of them.
I was going to say as well, if you haven't played them, you can't really just sell it on, can you?
Well, yeah, you feel bad in selling them on.
Yeah, because
if you haven't played,
you still want to play it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chorus is a perfect example. Chorus looks like a fantastic game.
Yes.
It's got great reviews.
It does.
I've just never got round to playing it.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah, that's a core regret. I like those moments. Yes, that's a good one. It's a goodie.
So it's funny because as I said at the beginning, I do so much research into each game that I buy, so it's really difficult to me find any. But I've got a few. With the same kind of logic with you, Ben, is Tropico 5. I did all the specs research and all that, and I saw that my computer was slightly below what Tropico 5 could handle. And I still took a risk with it. And that was 20 quid that I'm never going to get back because I just couldn't with all the graphical... Because that's the beauty of PCs, is you can see, I know I'm not a minimum, but it should work if I lower the graphics. Tropico 5's the first game, I would say, actually, because Escape from Tarkov was pretty shit on my old computer, that it went nope to. So, yeah, I was pretty devastated. Don't get me wrong, I still ended up playing it because it came on Game Pass, was it like 6 months ago? So I still got to play it. So there you go. Also, I'm going to mention the only other game that I could think that I actually regret buying is a game called Stonehearth. Have you ever heard of
I
this?
know that name. Is that on a wish list?
Probably, yeah.
So is that just a rip on Hearthstone, but just similar? Just what can we call this? Stone Hearth?
Yeah, just flip it around and go with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that the one that's a bit like Minecrafty?
I guess yes. It's like a mix between, I guess, RimWorld and Minecraft, in the fact that it's like kind of pixelated and they have like buildings like it. Yeah. I remember doing a lot of research and I remember thinking this is brilliant. It's like a colony simulation game, but it's like 3D and it's like cool looking, and I just didn't get into it. I just actually thought it was really quite poor. And unfortunately, just never. I think I paid a good £30 for it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's big.
But to be fair, like in the same bracket, I should be saying Going Medieval could be on that list next year. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I am gonna give it another try, on like full release when they've got everything going. But Going Medieval, I spent money on that, and I have played, I think, 7 hours of it, and I've been really unimpressed so far. So,
wow, because we were both interested in Going Medieval.
Oh God, I remember looking at it for years, going like, "This is going to be everything I've always wanted," but wasn't impressed.
Interesting. So we've got one in prospect as well as one that you already.
Yes, one future regret.
Yeah. A future regret. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, yeah, and I mean, on a different note, I'll give my main one here, and one of the ones that was inspiration for me saying we should go for this one this week, and that is Civilization 5. And I will apologise to Jack now if he ever listens back to this episode. Yeah, it's a big game, and I'm actually going to include Civ 6 in here, but with an asterisk afterwards, because obviously I've talked about how much I like the Civilization series, particularly the early ones. Mm. But by the point I bought Civ 5 for 40 quid or something similar to that,
wowie.
I was already going off the Civilization series, because 3 and 4 had added a bunch of new features and upgrades and changes and made it so much more in depth in ways that I actually really disliked.
Yeah,
like openly, angrily disliked. In particular, moving cities from one hex to things that took up half the map just pisses me off. It does in Humankind as well. I got over it when I play a game for like 50 hours, but I'm not going to sink 700 or 2,000 into it, you know? Everything they did just made the game experience worse for me with Civ, and it really came to a head with Civ 5. And made the game basically valueless to me within 1 or 2 playthroughs. I was just so done with it. And I should say the same with Civ 6, but I got that one for $4.99 because I bought it way later. And you can't really regret that. You know what I mean? Like, it was still worth it even for a 10-hour playthrough just to be like, oh yeah, that's what they've done now. Cool. Whereas Civ 5, that was a bitter pill to swallow. And I'm still choking on it.
Peter, I totally agree with what you said about money, because for me, like, you can do as much research as you want, but ultimately, it's about how you feel about the game. Like, the things that you see in these research or watching a streamer play it, there's only so much before you actually start playing it and going, like, this is amazing. And I think when I paid, like, £5, let's go crazy, £8 on a game, and it doesn't turn out to be that game, I don't feel bad, because I go, that could have been your next RimWorld. When I approached RimWorld, I did enormous amounts of research, and I remember going like, oh, this could be good. And now I have played 2,500 hours of it. So, you know, like, I agree. I think you should not regret when you spend a little bit on a game.
Yeah, if you get 95% off, it's hard to, isn't it? Go on, Ben, you were going to say
so I've just been, as we've been talking, one of the games that kind of fits into that, you don't know how you'll feel about a game until you actually start playing it. Yeah. There's a game called Achilles Legends Untold.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one. I do,
yeah.
It's essentially like an ARPG Souls-like where you play Achilles.
Yes.
And I kind of fell in love with the idea of it. Mm-hmm. And I bought it in early access. And I regret buying it because I bought it in early access. I wish I think it's now beyond a year of being in early access, probably like a year and a half or something like that. I don't think it's out yet properly. I regret buying it because it was only in early access, and it puts me off going back to it. Like, I played 10 hours. I only played 10 hours of it. I've just checked on Steam now. And you don't... Like, you get the worst version of the game. And I don't know, like, that's kind of a lesson. It's like when the new Hades comes out. When they release that in early access, I genuinely think they're going to have to release that in early. I think they're going to do early access. If they do an early access, they are going to need to make sure that is the most late of early access you've ever seen, because Hades was such a huge monumental game.
Yeah.
I don't think you can't go in with the same approach that they did.
No, definitely not, Ben. Like with early access, it's funny because I see early access as two different things. One, like with Go Medieval, big mistake because I went in too early. It didn't have, in my opinion, core mechanics that should have been in the game, like trading and stuff. But on the other side, like I do like growing with the game, but with that, I feel like it needs to be a small game that you grow with. Like RimWorld, I got it in early access and I liked the basic mechanics, and then the more things introduced, I got excited. There were a couple of things I didn't like and I wrote to the devs and went, oh yeah. But with Hades, it's such... Everyone's waiting for that.
Exactly.
So, I totally agree. They cannot do the same approach. They need to come up with like everything involved, if you know what I mean.
I don't think they... I think they have, and... If I'm wrong about this, then just cancel this whole conversation. But I think they have said they are doing early access. And I just cannot fathom why. Like, it's not acceptable. Like, you're now huge. Like, this game is massive. This game is monumental. Like, Hades was so huge.
Yeah.
Hades 2, you release in full. Like,
you do it properly.
What the fuck are they talking about early access? Like that, I don't think that should be a thing. And I think it is off-putting. And you know, one of the reasons I got my PC, one of the first games I was going to buy on my PC when I bought that was actually Hades. So I was following Hades in early access, and then as I bought my PC, it got shadow dropped on the Switch. So I just got on Switch. But it was literally going to be the first game I bought on my PC. This was before it was ever being released in early access. I was buying it because I saw a stream of somebody playing it on Twitch, and I was like, wow, this seems amazing. I actually saw, it was Sean from the computer game show. I was watching him play it. I was like, wow, this game looks fucking amazing. What the fuck is this? Oh, it's called Hades. Right, it's in early access. Right, guessing that. Lovely. Then it just got full released on the Switch. But yeah, there is a beauty to early access. And some games are just beyond it.
Yeah,
I think so. But yeah, Achilles, regret being
understandably so. Well, in that vein, do we have any more, Eddie? I'm really surprised Cyberpunk hasn't been mentioned here.
I've got 2 extra sections for you, Pete. I've got the I don't regret section, and that is Cyberpunk and Battlefield in that. Yeah, you wouldn't have thought that, would you?
You're insane for the second one. But yeah, tell me
like Battlefield, quite simply because I actually played a lot of hours into it and I really did enjoy it. I am gutted that, other people, Ben, Jack, didn't stick to it and play it a bit more, but I did really enjoy playing it. It's also a good game, like Warzone, I don't play by myself, but Battlefield is a good, fun game to come along. I've also heard recently that they've really turned a corner, and apparently it's actually a very good game now. The guy that always plays with Stone Mountain played it the other week and said it's amazing now. So I kind of want to go back and play with it, but play with it.
That's like turning the last corner on the race, though, isn't it? There's not enough time to catch up. Like, great last corner, guys.
Cyberpunk as well. Like, I mean, to be fair, Cyberpunk shouldn't even be an argument because I took it back and got all my money back for it. So definitely not. But also, like, I did play a lot of it, and I remember at the time said to you, like, the story was well,
True.
the story that I got up to was fantastic. The characters I really built a connection with, and I did really enjoy it. And also, not only did I play a game that's probably the most talked about game in the last 10 years, but also I got to experience it, so I know that I will go back there again. So even though I did spend money on it and I slammed both of those games at the time, no, there's no regret there. And the other section I've got for you is... Alright, 2 games in it. Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay.
I regret buying them. I did not pay any money for either of them, but that was too expensive.
I see what. Yes,
But
I understand completely.
that was
Buy's a
regret.
strong word, but I respect
That
it,
was regret. I regret pressing download. I
Oh,
regret.
you do pay for Game Pass though, so
Oh my god!
The
Did I
fractional
pay
amount
money for those 2 games?
Yeah, in theory,
Oh,
you
no.
paid for access to them. Yeah, in theory, you did pay to have access to
Shit!
those 2
Now
games.
ultra regret. It went from massive regret to ultra regret. Yeah, absolutely regret pressing download on them because that has just disappointed my life.
Yeah, I do get where you're coming from with that. It's easily done. And Elder Scrolls Online, while I do think it's a good game, it did nothing for me.
Pete,
And
not
I
only
regretted trying it.
is it a fucking disgrace for them to release that game because it's just not in their line of what they do.
It's not Elder Scrolls.
But it's
one of the biggest
also,
MMOs on the planet. But that's
it's also prevented, and I said this at the time, and I'm now right. It's prevented them from making games because they go, "This is huge. Everyone's playing it. We don't need to create another absolutely world-beating single-player game."
Yeah, I do think you have a point with that second.
there will be some truth to that. Yeah.
I think it has delayed ES6.
Yeah, when's the next
way
Elder
more.
Scrolls out? It's fucking. They said it, didn't they?
Probably around the same time as GTA 6. No.
I know. I think they
even
did say
later.
it the other week, and I think it's
Yeah,
2025, isn't it?
It was
Something.
in the FTC
Yeah,
thing, and it
lawyers
said
said
it was
it, didn't
at
they?
least 5 years away.
Worse still. Fantastic.
2028. something like
Good.
that.
And I blame
Gosh.
Elder Scrolls Online for that.
Yeah, I get you. I understand that. To be fair, I did also have a different category that I could have put in here, which I think you'll sympathise with, Eddie. Because I could easily have put RimWorld, Stellaris, or the entire franchise of Total War in here as they have ravaged my social life for years.
Pete, let me highlight a little thing for you down here. Hello. let me tell the listeners. I put right at the bottom, RimWorld. RimWorld is life. Nothing compares.
Yeah, and that I think that is also a valid regret because you go, I've loved every minute of it, but imagine the things I could have done.
Oh,
I could be fluent in languages. Like.
I call this my girlfriend's regret. That's what this section's called.
Yeah.
Every girlfriend I've ever dated is regret that I found RimWorld.
Because they're competing with it, yes.
Oh,
yes,
good.
And they always lose.
Yeah.
There is one consistency in life. They always lose. I've got a couple to finish off with. Every Monster Hunter game.
Okay, yep.
Right.
Yeah, you
my
enjoyed
reasoning,
Monster Hunter.
Yes.
Yeah, this is...
Yes, but my reasoning is I am never going to commit to them more than the 25 hours that I always do. And I convince myself every single time that I will because, you can play fucking hundreds of hours of these games and get so, but and I kind of get the loop, I understand the loop, I enjoy the loop, and then I go, that's a long fucking loop. And I do that every time, and it doesn't matter what Monster Hunter game it is. So I regret buying them because I get the FOMO each time, and I do. And I also, and this is a controversial one, but I also very much regret buying God of War Ragnarok. Because I think what it's done for me is told me I'm done with that type of game. I'm done with that nonsense, and
so it taught you
that might have a
valuable
knock-on
life
effect.
lesson.
Yeah, it might have a
regret
knock-on effect to other things, but it might mean that I don't experience some other absolute bangers going forwards because I am not gonna do that type of thing again.
Okay, it's a pretty strong list we put in there, guys. There's some very big games.
There's some big games in there.
Yeah.
A lot of different reasons as well. A lot of different reasons.
Yes, a lot of different, completely madcap reasons. If anyone wanted to get in touch with us and let us know their most regretted games, how would they do so, Ben?
You can email us, podcast@grumpygamers.co.uk, or tweet us at grumpygamerspod, or is it X us? Is that what Twitter's rebranding to?
It should be Xs or something like that now. Yes, well done, Elon. Honestly, the way you said you can email us, I thought that was the definitive option for a second.
Because I went in strong with that.
Email us. Everything
that
else
is our preferred option.
Yeah. If you want to reply, that's it. No, you can email us or X. That's weird. Never mind. But for this week, it is GG.
GG.
GG.